This is a map of Palestine from 1946 to 2024. The drastic change involved the killing of thousands of Palestinians, with millions of others being displaced over the course of over 7 decades. So I am going to talk about the current conflict is Israel-Palestine. I hope all of you know something about this conflict. Day to day we can hear something about that conflict from news, magazines and social media. And let's see how this conflict started, also how it uprised, current situations and many of things let's discuss in this video. Here are the historical events that led to the shrinking of Palestinian lands and the foundation and the expansion of the state of Israel. Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire in the 1900s, and Muslims, Christians and Jews had been living alongside each other in harmony. On the European continent, however, the Zionist movement is introduced by the Theodor Herzl in 1896. It aims to create an independent Jewish state in the Middle East, ideally on Palestinian land. The movement begins to take hold as the first wave of European Jews started to migrate to Palestine. World War I and the Balfour Declaration. By the end of World War I, the Ottoman Empire collapses and Palestine falls under British rule. In 1970, Britain announces its support for a Jewish state in Palestine in what is known as the Balfour Declaration. The number of Jews settlers in Palestine grows, fueling tensions between Arabs and Jews in the region. Violence begins to break out between the two sides. In February 1947, the UK offers to relinquish its mandatory role and place the question of Palestine before the UN. In November the same year, the UN approves of a plan to split Palestine into two states, Jews Israel and Arab Palestine. The city of Jerusalem, which is sacred to Muslims, Christians and Jews, is now a UN-controlled international zone. Jews accept the UN partition plan and declare independence as the State of Israel on May 15, 1948. Zionist gangs violently expel over 750,000 Palestinians from their homes and take their land, rendering them refugees as a result. On a day that is remembered as Al-Nakba, the catastrophe in Arabic. The first Arab-Israeli war. Neighboring Arab countries object to the land takeover, and on the day following the State of Israel's declaration of independence, the first Arab-Israeli war breaks out. Israel is victorious and makes a grab for the land intended for the Palestinian state under the UN's partition plan. The land gets divided into three parts. Jordan occupies the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Egypt occupies Gaza, and the State of Israel takes 78% of historical Palestine, including West Jerusalem. The Six-Day War. Fast forward to 1967, amid ongoing tension between Israel and neighboring Arab countries. The Six-Day War breaks out, and by the end of it, the maps look something like this. Palestine is now fully occupied by Israel. Despite the absence of a formal peace treaty, things start simmering down. Then Israel starts setting into Gaza and the West Bank, resulting in a Palestinian struggle that gives rise to the Palestinian Liberal Organization. Their main goal is to liberate Palestine from Israel by any means necessary. Fighting goes on for years. The PLO eventually accepts the division of the land between Palestine and Israel. But the conflict doesn't end there. More settlers make their way into Israeli occupied Palestinian territories. The international community considers this illegal. The frustration among Palestinians leads to an intifada uprising in Arabic. As a result, Hamas is born as a political movement determined to fight against Israel's occupation of the West Bank and Palestinians' Gaza. Aiming to decrease tensions, Israel and the PLO signed the first Oslo Accords in 1993 and the second in 1995. The agreements lead to the splitting of the occupied West Bank into three sections. Area A under full Palestinian control, Area B under joint Palestinian-Israeli control, and Area C under full Israeli control. But the solution creates a problem. Area C contains the majority of the occupied West Bank's agricultural land, water and minerals. Palestinians have limited access to these. For the peace talks prove unsuccessful, Palestinians lost hope, resulting in the second intifada in 2000, and Israel begins constructing separations walls and building checkpoints to control and limit Palestinians' movement. In 2005, Israel withdraws from Gaza but continues to build illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank. Hamas gains power in Gaza and splits from the Palestinian Authority, seeing it as being too secular. The occupied West Bank and Gaza are now under separate leadership. After violence erupts in Gaza, Israel imposes a blockade on the beside enclave, restricting any form of movement by land, air or sea in 2007. Israel has carried out military assaults on Gaza in 2008, 2012, 2014 and 2021. 2022 became the deadliest year for Palestinians in the Israeli occupied West Bank since 2005. In 2023, Israel carried out several violent attacks on Gaza and deadly raids in Jenin. On October 7, 2023, Hamas launched Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, its biggest attack on Israel yet. Israel responded by declaring war against Palestinians, heavily focusing its military campaign on bombarding the besieged Gaza. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been killed, violently displaced and forced to live under occupation for decades. But will Israel ever put end to the conflict in the region and allow the establishment of peace? Let's talk about current situation of state of Palestine. Palestinian President Abbas appoints Mohammed Mustafa as Prime Minister. The move comes as the Palestinian Authority faces pressure to reform from the US-aimed Israel's war on Gaza. Palestinian President Mohammed Abbas has appointed his long-time economic advisor Mohammed Mustafa to be the next Prime Minister in the face of US pressure to reform the Palestinian Authority as part of Washington's post-war vision for Gaza. aims to reunify governance of Palestinian lands after face major obstacles including strong opposition from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and a devastating war that is still grinding on with no end in sight. Speaking at Davos in January, Mustafa said the catastrophe and humanitarian impact of Israel's continuing war on Gaza was much greater than a decade ago. At least 31,341 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7. Most of its 2.3 million population have been displaced and are in desperate need of aid, and swaths of the enclave now lie in rubble. Biden administration officials have urged Abbas to bring new blood, including technocrats and economic specialists, into a revamped Palestinian Authority to help govern post-war Gaza. But it is unclear whether the appointment of a new cabinet led by a close Abbas Ali would be sufficient to meet US demands for reform, as the 88-year-old president would remain in overall control. Israel, meanwhile, has said it will never cooperate with any Palestinian government that refuses to reject Hamas and its October 7 attack on southern Israel. Mustafa, in his Davos remarks, described the October 7 attack as unfortunate for everybody. And he said, but it's also a symptom of a bigger problem that the Palestinian people have been suffering for 75 years non-stop. Nowadays, Palestinian people celebrate their Ramadan festival period in this troubled situation. However, this conflict is never-ending conflict because happened 7 major wars. Also, there are a number of minor conflicts, and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says in a press conference that war in Gaza will continue until victory is achieved, one day after receiving Hamas' response to truce deal. So we hope that this time around we will be able to achieve solution so that all people in the region can live in security and peace.